There's a mosquito on his head. He don't care.
Oh my god!
He's so angry. Did we just put him in the ditch?
Yeah. I don't want to piss him off.
Yeah, you're crazy. Frog. Oh, sharp nails. Ugh. Hello. I'm just going for a little wander around the garden to see how everything is doing. The wisteria are in bloom. I need to find where I'm going to put them in the ground permanently. The potatoes are potatoing. Oh, hello, Mr. Bumble. Do you see him there? Nope. The indigo is growing and getting stronger around the pear trees. There's one branch here that's really struggling, but it does have buds, so fingers crossed it makes it. There's so many grapes. I really hope some of these ripen. That would be so cool. There's another flush of haskaps coming. They're hard to see amongst the leaves, but they're definitely there. My neighbors have this tamarack tree. It's one of the only evergreen trees that drops its needles. But I did not realize that the little pine cones are like a purpley red color when they start. We've got some lavender. This is the first year that I've ever had the peonies flower. They look incredible. They smell amazing. The comfrey is flowering and the bees are coming. I always let it flower completely first for the bees, and then I'll start cutting stuff back and harvesting leaves for medicine. One of my best friends stopped by and she brought me a bunch of hostas and tiny little flag irises, I think, and sedum, because they had to take out a garden to put in a duck house. So we're gonna put these all around Addie's memorial garden soon. And we should get some mulberries this year, which I'm very excited to try for the first time. This tree had like 4 last year, but they didn't get to maturity. So there's a lot of them. I am never gonna say no to fruit. And the walking onions are getting their walkers. So what happens is they flower at the top, but they're actually all little onion bulbs. And they get so big that they fall over and start growing again in a different part of the garden. So this whole piece is a second onion that has its own little onion head on it. That's why they're called walking onions. It is finally cool enough that I can work on the pond tonight. I usually wait till about 7 till the backyard's in shade, and then I can finish lowering this section here to get the hardscape pond in that top part, and then we'll finish digging out the bottom. I've already picked out the liner, the pump is here, so we're getting there. A lot of it is just finishing details now. The crabapple that I planted for Addie's garden actually flowered this year. I'm not going to let it actually make fruit because it has to focus on its roots, but it was very pretty to see the bright pink flowers. This tomato bed is taking off and I'm going to have to start tying stuff up, but I actually used these bed slats that I had left over as individual tomato trellising to see how they work. I think they'll actually be really great, so I will keep you posted. But these middle ones have to be tied to the top crossbeam. So, but they're starting to get their flowers and we should be getting tomatoes soon. Basil's taken off too. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at those lines and those colors popping. At the back of the garden by the Saskatoons, there's all of these tiny forget-me-nots. These were planted last year by Addie. I made her a little bed and she decided to throw the seeds everywhere. And I was like, well, we're gonna have forget-me-nots all over the garden forever now. And we do. And I get emotional every time I see them because they're like echoes of her being here. We still have plums developing on my plum tree, but they're yellow, and I don't know if that means that they're sickly or healthy. So we'll just see. I'm very curious to watch what happens. Because over here we had a bunch of cherries, but they all rotted like this one. Oh, can you see that? But then there's still like one or two that are green. But I've already lost like most of the ones that were here. But the growth, oh my goodness, it's all blurry. The growth on the cherry tree is crazy. So I'm fine not getting fruit for a couple more years. The new peach tree leafed out, and it's still looking a bit sad, but she'll be fine. We've got some die off at the tips here and here. That's okay. It's doing good. This is a wild grape on the back fence, and it has tons of clusters too, but it looks like most of the little grapes fell off. And I don't know if they were eaten or they didn't get pollinated or what. We'll have to see what happens. I'm going to build my new herb dryer today because the lemon balm is lovely, and I need to start collecting from my tea stores again. Last year on the elderberry, we only had 3 flower bracts come up, and now there's so many. Very excited. The beans sprouted, yay! And the fennel is doing really well too. And the courgettes are doing really well. My friend Holly actually happened to be able to find me a champagne currant, and I've been looking for one for 3 years. So she brought that over on Sunday, and I'm very excited. I now have a white, a champagne, and 2 red currants. These are mainly for my son and my husband because they love currants, but like they love currants. So it's very fun to see how excited they get about it. The sweet peas are really starting to take off, and I'm very excited to see them grow up. There's a clover, and then there's one here too. And then all of the crops we planted are doing great. It was worth waiting the few extra days. I really have to trellis tonight too. This will be interesting because these are nursery bought Romas, and these are the ones my best friend grew, and these ones are a lot bigger and healthier, so I'm really curious to see if there's any difference in yield or performance. We have the fennel and eggplants, and the black contorted mulberry finally has some shoots. I'd say the stem is dead, which is fine, but I'm excited to see this start growing. I bought this with the intention of when I prune it, it'll have really cool branches to work on the fairy garden in Addie's garden. This is where the old bed was under the laundry line, and it's all wildflowers, and it's interesting to see what's growing. I think most of this is weeds, but there's definitely a few wildflowers and sunflowers in there. And I'm also very happy to say that there is a frog living in my pond again. I have not seen him in about 2 days. Yeah, I haven't seen him since Sunday, but he's a big boy, and he apparently made it his own way over here because I think I lost all the frogs that I put in here last year when they picked the wrong overwintering pond. So that's exciting. And look at how big the cattails are. I might actually get cattail heads this year. So yeah, the garden is starting to thrive. We're almost done on the pond. We've had hummingbirds, gophers, and all kinds of critters coming through. Yesterday we helped the snapping turtle on the road. So it's just nice to see everything coming back to life, especially after the wildfires. Okay, have a good week.